What is up, guys? Welcome to Loveshack Entertainment. Hope you all had a great holiday season. And today is the day after Christmas for those of you here in the States or anywhere else that celebrates Christmas. Pardon my ignorance. What I'm bringing you guys today is more than likely going to be the last video of the year. We're going to do a Shaddoll deck profile video. Now, I know that's a bit weird because the deck's not exactly very good right now. But we did that Cosmo deck profile last week, and that was one of the two decks we took to regionals, our team. And then we also took Shaddolls, and I said, I want to play something a little bit different, so let's make a Shaddoll deck profile. So, Dustin took Cosmo. We didn't do so great, but we started out alright, and that's all that matters, starting out undefeated. And so I took Shaddoll, so I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I'm kind of over the whole PP thing, so the deck wasn't great. Round 1, I played against Pepe, went 2-0.
Nope, that didn't happen.
I went 2-0. Alright, well, the kid may have got his deck stolen, but I still got the win, so that's all that matters. Poor kid, though. I'm sure they found that he's all good. But so I started out undefeated, and then round 2, I played Magicians. I went to game 3, but I just brick drew, which, of course, seems to be the problem with this deck. And then round 3, I played Yosenju's against some obnoxious kid. Whoever you are, I don't like you. I can say that without an anonymity because I don't know who you are anyway. So let's jump right into this deck profile video, and I'll show you guys and try to do it relatively quickly. So 3 Squamata. You really need this more than anything else now because of the fact that it thins the deck. It sucks because the monster popping effect is good, but it doesn't hit Cosmo at all. And the Magicians, even if you do pop them, they just can summon themselves back next turn. But more so than anything else, the mill and the fact that it speeds up the deck while being a level 4 is what makes it really good. Triple Beast because it's a draw power, and it also can, it's really just draw power any way you look at it. This is one of the few things that like never dead draws and definitely helps. If only it was 2,500, certainly would have won a few more games, but that's neither here nor there. Triple Falco. Really the tuner of the deck, enables you to special summon back from the grave. This actually helped me a lot in my Pepe matchup. It also helped me in Magicians, just to set up Trishula plays and stuff. But honestly, it's just one of those things that's way too good not to play. It's unfortunate, though, because like I said, and I keep bringing this back because I played a lot of Cosmo just in the days testing up to the event, and it can be run over by anything in that deck, which is solely problematic. 2 Hedgehog. It searches fusion spells, which is good, and if you mill it, you search monsters, but you don't really need it at 3. It can kind of dead draw late game once you've thinned your whole deck, or Thun. I don't know, but whatever. So once you've gotten through the deck, it's relatively mediocre late game, but it's really good early game. 2 Damage Juggler. I'm trying to put you back a little bit, sorry. 2 Hat Trick, and 1 Plush Fire. That's pretty much what I play for clowns in here. Without Construct, you really don't want to max out on Damage Juggler, and there's really no point in playing Trick Clown. Hat Trick is good because it lets you go into Shekanaga, which is probably the best Shaddoll you have access to right now outside of the Pepe matchup. And Plush Fire just because it is a Grista target, and you can put a Grista out against Pepe, Magicians, etc., and negate Pendulum summons. Damage Juggler is still good to prevent damage and because you can mill stuff and whatnot. With Construct, it would be really good, especially having access to Plush Fire, but we don't because Konami hates this deck for some reason. 1 Raiden, this is more than just like a tech kind of thing than anything else, but the fact that it is a tuner and it's also 17 and can mill stuff and thin the deck is good. Plus it's a BLS target, so it does give you a little bit more versatility in terms of the chaos aspect of the deck. 1 Glow Up Bulb, probably the MVP. The ability to use this with like any 2/4s to make a Trish, won me some games in the Pepe matchup and in others. But it's just a really good card, and you can send it to the graveyard with Fusion, also Mathematician. Which brings me to my next card, Mathematician here. He's really good because he thins the deck. When you normal summon him, you can send one from deck to grave, which is really good with Bulb, but also if you want to get a search off Hedgehog, Squamata, get a draw off Beast, and things like that. And then 1 Dragon, because it's like, I mean, yeah, I know it's a pendulum-heavy format, but, like, Dragon is also one of those things where, you know, if they pendulum call and stuff, you can't pop stuff, so it's relatively useless sometimes, but it's still worth it to have the 1 to get over stuff. You could probably toy around with it at different numbers if you wanted to, but I found that 1 was the best number. And then 1 BLS, I apologize, it's common, it's kind of gross, but it was just the easiest one to get access to. It's a good card. It's definitely, like, never a dead draw because of the decent number of lights that I play. Only problem is that it can't really get over any of the ships because of the non-targeting, and when you do kill a ship, it generally just brings out another one, and then you lose your BLS. So it's a decent card, and it's definitely worth playing, but again, if we had Construct, it'd be so much more viable, I think. So, let's check out the spells real quick here. Chew MST, because it's good, because it does what it needs to do, but again, it's relatively useless against certain decks, so I often cite it out. 2 Shaddoll Fusion. 3 can kind of dead draw, and it's so easy to recur, and I know there's going to be, like, keyboard warriors out there in the comments who are going to tell me it's a must-play at 3. I got the 1 Nef Shaddoll and the 1 L Shaddoll as well. The 4 fusion spells is really, like, the appropriate number. I don't really like Nef Shaddoll, but it gives you access to Noyatalis and Grista if you can't draw plus fire. So it's just one of those things that lets you set up whatever it is you need to set up. Plus, it's another spell per turn. I was playing Fusion at 3 initially, but it just kind of dead drew a lot, and once your windows are engraved and your Shekanagas and stuff, there's really no point in having it other than as, like, discard fodder. So that's what I play for the spells for Fusions. One Allure of Darkness. You got so many darks, you don't really mind banishing one. Soul Charge, Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion's really good with Norden to set up like instant Trish plays, but also Xyz plays and things like that. And you can bring out Winda with it, which is not something I do often, but there is the ability to bring out Winda, and then it counts as a fusion summon, so if it does die, you can just bring it back with Falco and kind of get like a cheap access to Winda without having to do much. And then Book of Moon, because you play a bunch of flip effects, and Foolish Burial is the last spell, because that really doesn't need to be explained either. Another card that was really good in the Pepe matchup for me, just to be able to get stuff engraved. And then for traps, True Call the Haunted. All your monsters trigger off of effects, so when you bring them back, you can pretty easily, you know, if they MST, you can chain it, bring a monster back, and get a, you know, any Shaddoll effect off because it pops it. So it's really good. But it also does kind of dead draw a little bit. It's one of those things you gotta play wisely. 2 Time Space Trap Hole. It's decent. It gets over the Cosmo matchup, but the thing is against like Pepe and Magicians, most of the time they don't even mind having their stuff shuffled back into deck, so it's something you gotta be kind of careful about. So far it's good, and because I just do see a lot of Cosmo, and even Inferno Itch to an extent, you know, just at my locals and in that area, it's a good card, but it's something you don't necessarily have to play. 2 Shadow Games, still really good. At worst, it's like a defense fodder to get like a Falco on field so you don't take damage. But it's really good early game to allow yourself to plus and set up some plays. And then 1 Shaddoll Core. Again, it's still decent. It's a 1950 defense, so it can sit on itself to get over Farm Girl and Joker. But the problem, of course, is that it's trapped, so it's kind of slow. And then 1 Warning and 1 Torrential. You don't have to play too many traps. It's more of a monster-heavy deck, but those options are there. Torrential doesn't really hurt you much, so it's definitely something that's worth having. Let's take a look at the extra deck. So we play 1 Trish. This is probably like the MVP of the deck. It was great against Pepe. It was great against Magicians, and even Yosenju to an extent, which were, again, the majority of what I did see at the event. And just as far as synchros go, it's one of the better options. For 5s, I play Kendama and Armades. Armades is too good not to play, but Kendama's a really good OTK machine, and you can put like 4,600 damage on board relatively easily. So it's pretty good. But I definitely like it. I think it's good. We have yugioh for the 1/6. It's decent, but again, you don't use it all that much, and everything's so pendulum, so not much goes to the grave. For level 7s, Black Rose and Clearwing. Let me just move these over a little bit. Clearwing's really good right now, and Black Rose obviously is Black Rose. You kind of have to play it, just because of what it can do for the deck. And then 1 Star Eater, which I don't go into much, but you can make it with like a Beast, a Falco, and a 4. So it's just really good for what it was. I'm also being told I said this was Kendama, which is not the case. This is Chanbara, for those of you that are maybe watching the video and can't see but can hear. So that's that. If you don't play Kendama, it's pretty bad. There's better level 6 options. So there's only 1 Xyz right now, which is the number 101 Silent Honor arc. This is basically the list I used at the event, which is why I didn't want to change it. But I found that I definitely do have to play more than 1 rank 4 just because of hat trick and stuff. Dark Rebellion, Castell, things like that. Anything you really want to put in there as far as 4s, but I do plan on tooling this around a little bit and adding that in. As far as fusions, there's the 1 Norden, which I talked about, you know, in detail. Instant fusion, it can be an instant Trish, things like that. It's really good. 2 Winda. Now, you could play 3, but you don't necessarily need it. It's still really good against Pepe because they can only do the 1 special summon, but they can get over it with stuff. So it's one of those things where you got to play it wisely. The 1 Grista, now this is actually a card that's become better because it was pretty bad in the last format, but you can pretty much sit on this, and when they pendulum summon, you discard a card, you pop all their monsters they pendulum summon. 1 Noyatalis, I played it just on principle because, you know, I didn't know if I was going to see rogue decks that were going to, like, try to utilize stuff. It's a cool card, and definitely one of my favorites, but the thing is, it just doesn't do much. I guess at worst, it's like a name and it's an attribute, so it's something you can make in a last-ditch effort, but unless you're playing against something that, like, Satellar Knights, it's really not all that great anymore with Necros just not seeing much play. And then 2 Shekanagas. This is probably the best card the deck has now. With 3,000 defense, you can just kind of sit on it, and, you know, you don't have to worry about Forerunner and stuff like that, being able to get over it. And you can negate special summon monster effects. That's probably the most powerful play you have, but of course, Wind is still the best card that the deck has access to, for sure. And then just to wrap it up, we will take a quick look at the side deck, which I actually think was probably one of the better elements that we had access to. So the one Grand Mole, it's an Earth, and it doesn't target, so you can bounce over the ships, which is why it's so good. Definitely sided this in a lot, but you also don't need to main it because it's not great against pendulums at all. 2 Decree, I do play some traps, but when I'm siding, I can kind of change that lineup around a little bit, be able to maximize Decree, because if you want to swarm the field, you are going to lose out to traps. 1 Injection Fairy Lily, so this is like the only quote-unquote random tech. The fact that it can buff itself up to buff itself up to 34 to swing over a Forerunner and things like that is really useful. Plus, it's also an Earth spellcaster, so you can use it to make Shekinaga, which is another reason I really like it. 2 Iron Wall. Obviously, I never want my stuff banished, so this doesn't hurt me at all. Just really good for the Cosmo matchup more than anything else. 2 Grand Horn for Magispectors, Pepe, Magicians, etc. Good card, definitely worth playing. Fairy Wind, probably the side deck MVP of the event. This really helped me win in almost all my matchups. I actually won a game by double Fairy Winding for 1200 damage when my opponent was push playing against Magicians. It's a really good card. Obviously, things like Plush Cry you don't want to pop, but the damage is good, and the fact that you can clear their scales is really good too. And then 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors, really just for Cosmo, but also it does stop Damage Juggler and things like that. Or does it stop Damage Juggler? Yeah, it does. So, really good card overall. Stops Farm Girl from going off. It sucks they have access to Dark Destroyer now, and if they sack into a Dark Destroyer off like Reasoning or something, you could end up losing game as a result, but one of the, hit or miss, whatever. And then 2 Majesty's Fiends. This is a really good card, too. Again, better when we had access to Construct because you could fusion it if you needed to, but it does stop Cosmo from going off, and it hurts some of the Pepe matchup, Joker, things like that. And really, it's just one of those things that's nice to have access to in the deck in case you need it. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video, guys. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to take us out of the year, too. Today's the 26th, and a couple more days left. Probably just going to take the rest of the time off, start working on some new stuff. Again, we will have the details and the final results of the holiday giveaway contest for those of you that entered, that are interested in winning the gift cards and stuff. It is still going on. Check that out. Check out the video we posted the 12th day of Shaxmas, and the results of that will be announced probably somewhere around January 1st, somewhere in there. And we will be coming back with all sorts of new things, including some really cool new shows and things we have planned for the new year. So hopefully it'll be a big year for us. New year, new us, and as the white girls say. And we are hopeful that you guys will check back with us. Thank you for all the support. Hope you have a great holiday, and we will see you next year right here at Loveshack Entertainment.